Hello everyone. Today we are going from all to Voss with the sleeper from Oslo. So this video is going to be kind of pitch black. It's the same video I posted on Friday, but this one is narrated. Hello there, Texas. So if you guys have any questions, just fire loose and I will try to answer them as best as I can. Driving the night train is quite different from driving the express during the daytime. When driving the night train, we really have to take into consideration of the passengers who are actually sleeping. And since we are hauling sleep cars as well, those are the cars with dedicated compartments with 2 beds in them. And passengers usually book these kind of rooms with 2 beds, and to make sure that they get a really solid sleep throughout the night, the night train has a longer schedule than usual trains, so it leaves Oslo around 11 o'clock and it arrives in Bergen at approximately 6:30. So it takes longer than the day train. So when we reduce the speed and when we accelerate, we take this into consideration. So we really do this gently so that you don't get any rocking back and forward during acceleration and deacceleration, to make this as comfortable as possible for the passengers who are sleeping. Hey there, Judith. I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you? Hey there, Craig. How are you? Hey there, Kimiko from Texas. Hello, Carrie. Greetings, Caleb. Hey there, Shrai. Big Al 268. Yes, things are quite crazy at work these days. We are now in the middle of the transition from being a part of what was once NSB, which is today V. So the Bergen line, V actually won that franchise, so they are now separating us into a new company called V-Train West, or in Norwegian V-Tog Vest AS. And so we will be our own entity with our own budgets and everything. So this is quite a big transition from what we've been used to. And things are kind of crazy these days because we have to prepare and everything about the transitions and stuff like that. Things are running smoothly, organization is getting settled in, and yeah, it's the start of something new, and we have to think really differently on how we do things for the future. So exciting times. It's really exciting. Hey there, Naomi. How are you? Holy cow, thank you so much for the soup chat, John. Hey there, Gui. Thank you for watching. Michael Nielsen, are you referring to what kind of rig for recording videos? Is that what you're asking for? Tom Cruise was in Norway filming some shots for the next installment of Mission Impossible, and I am quite excited to see that movie because I really like the series in Mission Impossible. I really like those movies. Thank you so much for the soup chat, Troy boy. Tramper Kev, I do so agree. I'm really looking forward to filming these runs during the night. It is going to be so exciting to see how much this camera I'm using now is actually able to capture during winter nights. I'm really excited to see how much more we're gonna see compared to what we did with the GoPro. Oh, Michael Nielsen, we have two types of train on the Bergen line. So we are running for like this, the sleeper train and the regional train going between Oslo and Bergen. Those are the L18 with carriages hanging after it. For local service and supporting service from all and over the mountain during the winter and summer, where we transport people and tourists who's taking their bicycles with them, we are using the Class 75, which is EMU, electric, of course. And so those are the two types of trains we are running, the Bergen line. And every driver gets certified on all the rolling stock we're using in the production, so that we can send drivers here and there depending on where we are needed. Douglas Irvin, thank you so much for becoming a member. Bill Griffin, thank you too for becoming a member. Thank you so much, Dominic. Lars Gunnar, yeah, I really hope that I'm able to capture some northern light and on one of my trips over the mountain. That would be so really epic. But considering that the line is going from east to west, I'm not sure how much we're gonna see it. But that said, if it is a big enough event, like something around KP6, then I'm pretty sure it's going to be recorded if we're going in the right direction. So yeah, I really hope for some solar flares this winter. Thank you so much for the super chat, Chuck Brown. And Naomi Garza, I think I will do the Drummond line during next month. Not quite sure if I'm going to be able to record that, but I will definitely be doing that. And it looks like that I'm going a trip around Roa as well next month. So it looks like it's going to be some maintenance work going on the east side. So yeah, I'm excited. Midham, I've had several chances to go into management throughout the years, but I came from a desk job, and the reason I became a train driver was that desk job wasn't for me. And looking at the same walls and same computer screen day in and day out, that was just not for me. So I'm really happy where I am trying trains and showing it off for you guys. So yeah, I think I'll continue that for quite some time. Hello, 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 Gilbert. How are you? George, that might be. We will see what happens. But that said, it could be possible to use an ND filter on the lower part, so a graded ND filter, that's possible to do to dim down the headlights. Taking this video we are watching now into consideration, the sky is almost pitch black because it was overcast, so no starlight, no nothing. But I have seen starlight on this camera with headlights before, so I think we're gonna be pretty good because this camera actually has 13 stops of dynamic range. So yeah. It's gonna be fun seeing how this will work out with snow. thank you so much for watching, Alvaro. Uh, you know, I actually almost went down the road of becoming an airline pilot some years ago, but for some weird incidents in the world, that didn't happen. And when watching how the market for pilots is today and the working conditions, I'm pretty glad I didn't go down that road. Sam Trimmer, yeah, I guess that is because every flat surface is viewed upon as a canvas for some artists. That said, some graffiti is pretty cool if it's done really good, but like tagging and stuff like that, that's just like no. And graffiti on trains, yeah, I have to say I'm not a big fan of that, but if you do it on a canvas like a wall and you do it really good, it can be really cool. Chuck Brown, yeah, that is correct. It's better to jump out of them than flying them. Thank you so much for the super chat, Alan. If we get posted to different depots, yes, we do. Like take Flum as an instance of that. We do drive most of all the trains down there, but they don't have any driver space down there, so they send us down to drive them. And the same if they lack people in Bergen. We do cover for Bergen as well. Bergen also covers for us, and we also cover for all, and they also of course covers for all the other depots along the line. So yeah, we cover for each other where needed when we're short of staff, and that happens like during vacations, the holidays and stuff like that. Bob Anderson, that is not a nerdy question. That is a question of science of how much light you want to have into your lens on without losing too much of the sharpness. So on this trip, I was running with f2 on a Canon 24mm 1.4 because everything under 2 tends to become like really soft and kind of out of focus, and the chromatic aberration also becomes really apparent when you go below 1.8. So I tried to stick to 2.0, that seems to be working really well, and I am running ISO at approximately 2000 or 1600 depending on how much light it is outside. Bueneman, same here in Norway. Graffiti artists or taggers, if you want, they do tend to paint the trains during the night when they're parked in the depots, and then we do have to take the train and drive it somewhere. They are seen along the line taking pictures of their artwork in motion. Caleb, freight trains, they has been to this date kind of down prioritized. So freight trains has until now always had to yield for passenger trains, but now that they are, or the tracks are considered like free market, It looks like they are going to start prioritizing equally who gets slots on the tracks. So what the future brings for freight trains can be really exciting, and I guess that long hauls and stuff like that has to be shared more equally between freight and passenger trains. So my wish for the politicians would be get those double tracks here right now, make more passing points or meeting points ASAP, and seriously, politicians, free market does not work on the tracks until you actually have the conditions that makes free market possible, and right now that does not exist. Nemesis 1814, hello. Thank you guys for doing everything you can when it comes to GSMR, because you guys, you are awesome. Jeffrey Tinney, the difference between a steady green and a blinking green is that the blinking green is the distant signal or the main signal that shows a static green or two greens. So if you see something that blinks, it's usually a distant signal. Except when you see it blinks red, because then that means stop, because that would be the main entry signal to a station. Bob Anderson, if things in the airline industry was like it was before the event in 2001, I would for sure be an airline pilot today. Matt Gallagher, this is a passenger train. It's the overnight train from Oslo to Bergen, so that's why everything is dark. Ramper Kev, yep, that is so true. The GoPro is really a really good action camera, but when it comes to details and low light, the size of the sensor in the GoPro is just too small. And I also noticed that the low light conditions or performance in a GoPro 9 is less favorable for cab views like this. So yeah, I'm going to do some further testing with the GoPro 9 to see if it's possible or if there's any firmware updates that is going to increase the low light performance. But right now the low light performance in a GoPro 9 compared to number 8 for videos like this, it's pretty dismal. Klaus Tovik, grønnfargen, den synes jeg faktisk er kjempefin. Og den, jeg tror det siste settet med den gamle NSB-fargen, den tror jeg forsvinner over. Og når vi da får det tilbake igjen, så mener jeg at alle 10 sett her i vest er da blitt grønne. Caleb, it's against the law in America for freight trains to have higher priority over passenger trains. Does that also apply to the tracks where Amtrak is like renting the track space? Or is it just on the federal tracks that rule or is enforced? Stellark? Yeah, there is a lot of light in the small towns around, and we do have a discussion here in Norway now on light pollution, because people in the cities and small towns, they almost don't see the night sky anymore. And that really messes up the biodiversity when it comes to insects, birds, and everything. Gazer 75. Yeah, that national transport plan, it was not good. It was not good at all. It was really bad, and like every single right-wing government before, they have been clipping all the threads on new projects or completed projects, and when they do have the chance to shine, everything gets scrapped. It's like just their MO. It's been like that for a very, very long time. Thank you so much for the super chat, Andy. Thank you, Chris. Michela, I have been a train driver for over 10 years. Youth Savage, yeah, you can become a train driver if you want to. I show you the best parts of my job, but there is also parts of my job that is not so cool, and parts of my job that's basically not fit for viewers, especially not on YouTube. Thank you so much for the super sticker, Kusaneko. Thank you so much, Kamicho. Antoine, both yes and no. There are people who prefer the car. It might also be because where they are going in the end, but the Bergen line is actually very heavily trafficked by tourists and passengers all year long. But for, of course, reasons that we all know of, passenger numbers has been really low, and we are also restricted on how many passengers we are allowed to take with us. So we just hoping that this pandemic will hopefully sooner than later. Upon the longest we are allowed to drive the train is for 5.5 hours before we need a mandatory break off the engine for at least 40 minutes. Arun, you can get tickets as cheap as 250 NOK, or approximately it's like dollars. And how we generate profit? This line is actually pretty profitable. But some trains are subsidized by the government, especially when it comes to local service and this night train as well. So this is something we drive on behalf of the Ministry of Transportation. So they do pay a fee for it. Yeah, and the government in Norway is injecting money to all the train companies in Norway at the time due to the situation and the pandemic and everything. So that keeps things afloat. And that also means that we as a company, even though there are no passengers on the train, we are not allowed to cancel the train. It has to run. Midham, I really like to try the Trans-Siberian Railway. That would be pretty awesome to try that. And of course, any high-speed trains in France, like the TGV, that would be really cool to be able to see what it looks like when traveling over 300 kilometers per hour with my own eyes. That would be really cool. Paula R, yes, it is absolutely more challenging to stay alert during the night because everything is dark and you are at the time of day where your brain and body tells you that you are supposed to sleep. So any caffeinated drink or beverage is something I do take with me, like coffee. I'm a heavy drinker of coffee during night. Making sure that you're hydrated with water as well, and that you had a good sleep before you go on your shift, and that you don't eat any food. That actually works out for me. If you need to eat something, make sure it's light. No heavy meals, nothing that kind of makes you drowsy or tired. So yeah, any fruits and stuff like that, pretty great. Heavy food like meat, stuff like that, no, not good. But most important thing, sleep. Get enough sleep before the shift. Thank you for becoming a member, Jonas. See, Blanco, when it comes to the procedures do they cut the power, I won't go and get into that, but yes, I have on several occasions experienced that the power has been cut for whatever reason. This kind of happens all the time. Well, not that often, but it's a safety measure for the power supply to the road, and that if it detects any anomaly, it will cut the power for a time period, then it will try to engage again. And if it fails again when it tries to engage, it will cut the power again. And after the third time, they have to manually go in to try and force it back in. If it then fails, they can try to route power from another power source, so they just extend the section. If that fails as well, then there's obviously something wrong with catenary and main power supply. And then there are, of course, procedures around that, because we have to know how long it's going to take before they can fix it, and then we have to start making other plans to get the passengers to their destinations. X-Wheeler, there are horn usage during the night as well, but not as much as daytime. If you look under some of the signals, you will see rectangular plate with a diagonal yellow and black section, and that is called a day signal. And they put that signal up where it is mandatory to sound the horn during daytime from 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. So, but even though they say that you don't need to sound the horn between 6 a.m., as a driver, if you have to, sound the horn. Geyser 75, yes. A transformer or converter station will feed a section of catenary, and if that section fails, they can route power from the other sections into the failed section to see if that works out. So they do have the possibility to reroute power from other places, but that also means that we cannot pull as much amp out of the catenary as do, so we then restrict our torque to about 50% to make sure that everyone has enough power, so that converter station doesn't like isolate itself. Midham, I am actually not sure. I think a lot of those users are here for live streams, and that a lot of these users use the live streams for recreational moving pictures and stuff like that. Why they don't do videos, I don't know. New name? I guess different rules, different country. Penguins, they do have snow readiness on the mountain, so there is a rotary that goes over the mountain, or two rotaries that goes over the mountain back and forth during the winter, and we do have plows on trains as well. And it's kind of mandatory in Norway to equip every train with a plow. Thank you so much for the soup chat, Gudu. Caleb, there was this, I think it's a Russian train surfer who was in Norway, and I think that guy actually rode my train when I was doing the local service in Oslo at some point, because I saw someone coming off the train where someone is not supposed to come off the train, especially when I haven't opened the doors yet. So yeah, there are train services in Norway as well, but they are really few. It was something people did like in the 90s and 80s, but nowadays it doesn't happen. Well, probably does happen, but not as much as before. Arun, no, there are no sensors on the train that detects any passing animals in front of the train. But we do have avalanche warning systems that are placed along the line where there are chance of avalanche, and yeah, those work as intended. Thank you, Folkmaster. Domichella? Yes. I sadly have a lot of deers on my visions, and as well as rabbits, birds, moose, and bigger than that. Oh yeah, of course, like I said, moose, but no cows, no horses, and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not cool hitting an animal with a train. Because obviously it's a life, but that just comes with a job. Steve Blanco, if the power disappears and the heating disappears, the batteries on the train, they will feed lights and communications and stuff like that. But when it comes to power, we use heating. But of course, we do have equipment to counter that if for a prolonged time to get kind of help. Jimby, the railway is ranked pretty good here in Norway. Railroad companies, they are good employers. They treat us well, and yeah, it's a job that has something to do with safety. We move a lot of mass and transport passengers, so safety is key. That also means that they have to treat their employees good, because something you don't want to have behind the stick is a discouraged employee. So yeah. Here in Norway, we do have a three-part work environment, which means that as an employee and unions and employer, we all talk together to reach our goals. So yeah, it is a good partnership between employers and employees. Michael Nielsen, moments I will really remember. Yes, of course, those moments where you hit an animal. And where I was running intercity train to Lillehammer. We were running along Mjøsa and the night sky was totally clear, and then suddenly I saw it. It was the northern lights, and it's dancing all the sky for over an hour, and that was completely insane because that was a really, really powerful event, and yeah, and that was a really special moment. So that is definitely my best moment throughout those 10 years I've been driving. That is the moment that it's like, wow. Arun, the maximum speed of the trains for the trains on the Bergen line is 160 kilometers per hour, unless there's something with a consist that says that you have to drive slower, like with a sleeper, where you have speed restriction of 150 kilometers per hour. There are not any speed differences between the seasons here in Norway, but that said, have to make sure that to get the passengers from A to B as safe as possible, and there can be conditions that we run in that forces us to reduce the speed, like there's a lot of snow outside. We have to make sure that we don't push the snow over the front and up the roof. So then we choose a speed that makes sure that the snow doesn't end up on the roof, forcing the pantograph down, which will mean that we'll lose power. And if that delays the train, well, then we get delayed, but the passengers will arrive safely at their destination. Michael Nielsen, I really know what you're talking about. Riding a motorcycle, yep. There are so many things people in cars just don't realize they are missing compared to riding a motorcycle. Midham, we are pretty much set because this is a franchise, so yeah. Naomi, thank you. It's been 9 awesome months, and as you, myself, I am really excited of the future and where everything here will bring us. It's exciting. It's really cool. Thank you. Hello, hello, Sakura. Arigato. Radion, yes, there has been incidents with exactly that, and it kind of sucks. Thank you so much for the super chat, Steven. Thank you so much for the super chat, Sakura. Jonas Moon, you mean like seriously? The Rock? Here? Seriously? Abiveke? No. We follow the speed restrictions that is given us on the signals, like the triangular signal you see we're passing right now. It tells me that I can increase the speed up to 130 kilometers per hour, and that is an increase from 70 kilometers per hour. So now we're actually entering the high-speed part of Bergen Line. We are now almost on top of the mountain, and right now past another triangle which had the number 16 on it, which means we can increase the speed to 160 kilometers per hour if we had a consist that allows us to do it. But in this case it will be a maximum of 150 kilometers per hour because of the restrictions on the sleeping carriages. Yeah, John? Yeah, weird how that happens. Like me, my old motorcycle was changed with a new motorcycle this summer. Been having that old one all the time since I got my license, and the maintenance on it has increased dramatically throughout the years, so they kind of encouraged me to get a new one, and yeah, I was not supposed to, but I ended up with a new one. Norquack, the number for this train is 605. Kimberly, no, I'm actually the first in my family to venture into the realm of railroading. So the story behind it all is kind of long, but trying to make it short. When I was a kid, I used to do my homework on the subway. So I like travel, I like movement, and I've always been living close to the railway. I've been commuting with the railway, and at some point it was kind of just a natural progression. I started out driving trams in Oslo, and I saw this advertisement one day when I was at work, and I thought, maybe it's time to kind of step up things and lightning things and driving bigger things. So yeah, that's how that happened. Went from driving trams to driving trains. Michael Nielsen. I myself went from Suzuki Bandit 650 to Suzuki V-Strom 1050. Yeah, got injured, you say? Can I ask how that happened? Nico, I have been driving trains for over 10 years. Naomi Cord, my route. The next time I go over the mountain, what do you mean by cord? Nico, you really should come here riding the train. This railroad you see right here is one of the most scenic railways in the world. Domichella? No, I find that tunnel quite amusing, really. It's really fascinating riding the Flum Railway with that 180 turn tunnel. The engineering feat, building something like that when they didn't have lasers or GPS or anything, it's amazing. Midham, we still use timber as well at some other lines like the Flum line, because it's more flexible. But concrete is the main ties we use on the railroad today. David, yes, times has really changed since the time when we had two people on a steam where one was shoveling coal into the furnace. But yes, I mean, that was a feat, keeping the steam going and being just enough fuel or coal to get the right amount of steam, and it was craftsmanship, really. It was an art, and it is still an art being able to run those engines, because whatever people say, those engines are truly complicated. Thank you so much for the soup chat, Troy boy. Arion, you can, if you to see the tickets and stuff like that, you can go to v.no, that is V and a Y .no, and you can have the page in English as well. Simon York? No, I have not operated a steam engine. Here in Norway, we do run steam engines on some museum lines, and they do have some engines that runs on a main line as a novelty train, but being able or allowed to run steam trains you just have to go through an extensive education and get certified on those engines as well. So no, I haven't been able to operate any steam engines. Jonas Moon, seriously? Was The Rock on this channel asking a question? Simon York? Yes, I would like to try that one day, but thing is that it is really time consuming to get that license, and it wouldn't be in this part of the country either, so yeah, I think it's kind of not possible. It would be awesome to try, but yeah, we'll see. Jonas Moon, I'm just in awe. It's like, what? Seriously? Some of the sleepers looks glittery because they are wet and the light is reflecting off your sleeper. Radion, that is cool. Your grandfather was an awesome man for working on steam engines in the 1930s, because we all know that it was a really dirty and hazardous work to do, shoveling coal into the furnace. He would be designated fireman in SN, Britain I think, and here in Norway he would be Kjeleman. Aron, you do have a dining car in this train, so you can find a menu on site for V, and it's everything from old and more warm substantial meals, and you have different beverages, coffee, cocoa, sodas, and smoothies, as well as pastries. So yeah, you can practically almost get anything you want. Stefan Brenke, yes I am. Dark matter matters. Time to dig a tunnel. Do we want a bigger Hadron Collider? Is that a tunnel worth digging? Master 3, yes, this is the Finse tunnel. Able 1066. Yes, it is. Danny, yep, I drove this train, recorded a video, and I'm talking about it. As a craft, yes, I have been riding trains in different countries, but nothing more than the local service or airport express trains and stuff like that. There are some lines I really want to do. Sure, it's a very railway, and it would be also awesome to go across America with a train. And yeah, there's so many routes out there that would be really awesome to try out. Yoshito? No, I'm not. I'm not afraid to be bored. Yes, it is the same line day in, day out. But every day is different. The conditions outside are different. See different times of day. You see different types of weather. Different types of light. Seeing sunrise and sunset in different conditions is it's really rewarding. So you get to see things that other people don't see. Like seeing how the mountain looks like in pale moonlight and with snow, and yeah, the views are what does this job. And today it's the same line. Um, so no, it doesn't get bored at all. Just in case, we don't celebrate Halloween here in Norway, but that said, Halloween culture with trick and treat and all of that has started to seep into the Norwegian culture, and millennials and my generation as well is definitely taking in Halloween, even though I don't think they. Oh, but hey, it's candy. Acer 75, yes, I do use a voice activated mic per se. That could be the compression noise cancellation that does it, I'm not sure. Or it could be the stream as well. Spot center? The wiper noise? Oh my dear god. I'm not sure if you noticed it, but it came to a point where you heard that squeaky sound on the left visor, and I was like, okay, I've had enough of this sound. It drives me crazy. So I just disabled the left wiper altogether and just run with the one on my side. Idham, define challenge, because since every day is different, every day would be a different challenge, and as you have seen, the winter conditions on this line, they can be challenging, and so autumn conditions can also be quite challenging when you get leaves on the tracks and everything gets more slippery. Yeah, during the summer, have sun kinks and trackbed feels kind of different, and there's a lot more people, and that is a challenge as well when you people getting on and off the train, and you're supposed to keep the schedule. So yeah, it is a challenging job. You always have to be kind of on the edge to be able to drive comfortably, keeping the schedule and able to plan ahead. So we don't, as a driver engineer, you don't just like drive from signal to signal. You kind of anticipate and plan driving where you're supposed to drive line speed, where you can slack off a bit because of the schedule. So you have to just make sure that you utilize the topography to its maximum to conserve energy and drive as economically as possible, because yeah, you use power. Thinking about economics and environment, you just want to use as little as possible to get the job done. For now, no, this was recorded on September 29th. I'm just narrating this trip. Yeah, I would not be able to stream this live from the cockpit as well as speaking to you guys. That would be a clear violation of absolutely everything. Camera acting, that is called line knowledge. Knowing where the stops are and everything and start braking, it's line knowledge. Spot center, well, that depends on when you spot something like that. You have to remember that some trains at some speeds do move at a rate of 60 meters per second. So yeah, simple math would say that being able to stop in front of something like that would be quite challenging. Speeds are high enough. So I really hope that no one does that ever. Master 3, and it's quite interesting that you actually use the same amount of power to accelerate from 0 to 130 kilometers per hour as you do from 130 to 160. So yes, so you can imagine how much more you use if you go from 160 to 210 and from 210 to 250. Geyser, that really depends on track conditions, but I would say around 1,000 to 1,000, between 800 and 1,200 meters. Play it if it's easy. It basically depends on your qualifications, but they are supportive of people being here. So yeah, if you have the qualifications needed, and your thing. Or no, it can be a stressful job. Sometimes be a stressful job, but mostly it is a calm job. But you are focused all the time on what you're doing. So it's kind of hard to describe. It's you sit there in concentration, but you're also able to look out, and you know where you can relax more than other places. So yeah, it's both up and down depending on what kind of day it is. Gamer Cat King, this was an L in with sleep carriages and B7 carriages. So yeah, it's the sleeper train. LA64, the longest tunnel in miles I've driven through is 9.06 miles, or 14,580 meters, are 14.50 meters. It's called the Romerik tunnel. It goes from Oslo to Lillestrøm, just outside of Oslo. So when I was based there, it was usual to drive through that tunnel, and it connected Lillestrøm and Oslo with a train ride that lasts for about 8 minutes, or 10 when you take duration time, etc. Compared to the 30 minutes it took to ride outside the tunnel. Just in case, yes, the pandemic has had a large effect on my job. We have seen an extreme decline in passenger numbers. Did get subsidies from the government like every other train company, as well as the hygiene regimes we are now going through. They are also straining, washing your hands with disinfectants every time you change end, and wearing masks out, and yeah, it's really different compared to before. And I've also been tested, because I was in contact with some tested positive. So yeah, it has changed, and it has affected our job, and it's not always we feel safe case on where we're going, considering the numbers that are coming up. Like now that we do have an increase here in Europe as well, both in Oslo and Bergen. So yeah, it's we have to do everything we can to keep ourselves safe and being responsible. Jeffrey, you have a dead man switch called SIFA, and we have to either hold a button down or a pedal down and release it every now and then and push back in to tell the system that we're still lucid and in control. KB9, those signs that looks like belongs in a movie theater, they kind of belong in a movie theater as well. You do see them in the movie theater, and they tell you where the nearest exit is, and the same with these signs in here in the tunnel. They are there for evacuation purposes, so if we do break down in the tunnel and we evacuate, then those signals or signs will tell you the direction to the nearest exit and the distance to the nearest exit. Just in case, no, I don't have a lot of interactions with the passenger train. Naomi Garza, those lights are fixed by a company called Bonanur. Those are the people who owns the infrastructure and is responsible for maintaining it. Steve Blanco, I am so glad that my channel is able to do that for you, and thank you for watching. See you later, Texas chick. Midham, some drivers actually do keep logbooks like pilots do, or does, but it is not mandatory for us to do it. All our trips are kind of logged system, so no, we don't need to keep books anymore for that. Sam Spade, we don't feel a bump the train physically, but you can feel the pressure change when you go into a tunnel. But the L18 do have a pressure equalization system, so it will kind of, if you have a huge pressure change, it will lock the system so that you don't have you don't feel your ears popping when you go in. Oh. Arun, the flight from Oslo to Bergen takes approximately 40 minutes, and it is the faster way. Can get really cheap tickets there too, but you will have to travel from Oslo center to the airport with train or with bus. That's a 20-minute ride. Then you do have to check in, go through security, and then fly over, and then get your luggage and go to the airport express bus or the tram service, then travel into Bergen, which is like 30 minutes or so. Or you can just go to this train station, sit on a train, watch your Netflix, relax and watch the scenic view outside, and just go in a car, eat some food and sit there and look out the window and let your thoughts just drift instead of stressing around at the airport. So it depends on what kind of person you are and what if time is more of the essence for you and efficiency, or if like to relax when you're traveling. Simon Yard, that is so true. Because this is something that I really, really dislike. It's security at the airport. It's like, no. It's, nope, that is not my cup of tea. Just in case, the strangest thing I have ever seen going about. I'm not sure. I haven't seen any like strange things. No UFOs, no meteorites that has been coming down or things like that. So nah, I haven't seen anything like really strange. Nico, I tend to swap out the videos in stream. Things has been kind of crazy here lately. My workload and all that, so I haven't been able to and stuff like that yet. But now that autumn is here and I've been starting to recording the autumn videos, they will definitely start to seep over to streams pretty soon. Daniel Flippus, this was recorded in 6K and exported to 4K. Easter 75, you haven't been flying since 9/11? Recorded H, no, there is not a few trains in opposite direction. Norway is probably the country in Europe that runs most trains on a single track network like this. So during daytime, have a lot of points where we meet other trains. So yeah, it's a really busy network. But of course, we would love to having dual track all over the place. But when the politicians promise something, those promises are usually broken. Red Imposter, right now the train is traveling at approximately 80 kilometers per hour. Domichella, we sit there alone, but we don't drive the whole distance from Oslo to Bergen or from Bergen to Oslo, because that would be in violation of the rules about rest. So we drive halfway and we do a crew change, and then we have a break, and then we return in the opposite direction with the other train. Jonas Moon, I am using the Black Magic Pocket cinema camera. The 6K version of it. Pirate music? You really think so? Acer 75, that is really interesting. Leslie, it depends on what type of train. If we're talking about the Flirt, which is one of the newest acquirements, they started arriving here in T10 and has taken over most of the local service trains and the intercity trains. This locomotive here was part of the Engine 2000 or Look 2000 project, and is the sister version of the Swiss RE460. The carriages we're running, they are from the early 80s and mid 80s, and are now a subject to be with carriages. So yeah, there is a huge upgrade here. But we also do trains in Norway that is from the early 60s as well. Anirban, yes, this is a really hilly route. Anirban, this is the Bergen Railway in Norway, so it's the Bergen line. Just in case, yes, the new lights or the blue lights you see to the left are new rail lights installed, and those are LEDs, and they are part of the upgrade project for all tunnels to meet requirements for visualization of exit directions and distance to the nearest exit in case of evacuation in the tunnel. Banu, yes, we do have a system that automatically breaks down the train or stops the train if we exceed the speed limit. But for avalanches and earthquakes, we don't have any earthquakes in Norway that really makes huge destructions. But for avalanches, we do have an warning system that will trigger the safety systems to warn the drivers that, hey, it's an avalanche up ahead, so you have to slow down and stop. Geyser 75, I would say like, yeah, 22.8. Gary, what made me start doing this? I'm not sure, really. I started like in, I think it was 2015 or something, like randomly like upload, and didn't think a lot about it, and then I uploaded a video I thought was really cool in 2017 about the stormy conditions on the, on the mountain pass, and it kind of took off, and from there on I thought like, hey, this is maybe something you guys want to see, and it would be interesting to show you guys the different conditions we run under and stuff like that. And then I started recording more evenly, and here I am today. KB9VV, signals are normally placed on the right side of the track, but they can also be placed on the left side of the track. And they do say the same thing. They mean exactly the same. It's just where it's more better placement for them in both in visibility and make sure that they don't get clogged up by or blocked by other things like the catenary or ledges, trees, etc. We do have a slightly higher pay during night because of course it's night and we work shift, so we do have slightly higher allowance when we work at this hour. Stian, det kan jeg forstå. Jan Rodrik, I don't work with cattle. Anirban, yes, it is a pantograph on this train because this is an electric train. Hey there, Lappy. Vanuatu, yes, I remember that accident, and that what the report said, or what they kind of concluded with, was a gross neglect by the driver, first of all, and it happened in a transition area between two systems, and it was also a construction area. So in situations like that, there can be mixed signals, some systems can be disabled, but you as a driver are obligated to make sure that you have the right speed at the right time. And that's why we don't fiddle with our phones when we operate in. And that too should apply to any moving vehicle. So if you text and drive, shame on you. Gary, thank you. What I do for the graphics, I use Adobe Premiere, motion templates that I put on top video and of course edit the text and stuff like that, and they are totally okay with it. Caleb, how many train companies are in Norway? Right now, I think it's like over 70, including, well, I think it's over 70 companies that are licensed to operate on national network. One, obviously the Bergen line. Stian, det tviler jeg ikke på. Når var det han pensjonerte seg? Julie Brady, I am gonna write something down for you right now. Naomi? Naomi is pronounced Naomi. Hey there, Robert. Gary, yes, we do. We do have a train that goes from Oslo to Gothenburg through Halden. So, yes, if you are in the area, you can take the train from Gothenburg and to Oslo in Norway. Michael, yes, we do. Not like that comprehensive like pilots do, but the conductor and the driver is obligated to have a brief chat before we start to before we leave the station or the exit station. In this case, let's say Oregon. There we go over things like, yeah, is it any speed restrictions, or what is the consist of the train, how many will be working on the train today, and where is you got, well, how long are you going to work on the train? So are you going all the way to Oslo, or are you going to be swapped halfway or wherever? So yes, crew change consist and safety bulletins. That's what we talk about. And during the winter, when we have more extreme conditions, we also will go through the weather forecast to see if all the information we need to be able to get people safely from A to B. Yeah, a cup of coffee. That's right, Steven Blanco, cup of coffee. Beltron? Yes, I was, and I am actually going to make a video that goes more into what we see before and after leaving a station. So yeah, still in the process of droodling that out to see how that pans out. But now that things are going more, yeah, more calmer time of the year, more time to do things like that as well. Elizabeth, I drive this train to Voss, so this stream will end when we arrive Voss. David, no, dense fog is not an issue. Sometimes the fog can be so dense that you see basically like 6 meters in front of the train, and that is really weird driving in because you just see a catenary pull up just popping out of the fog and you see a signal coming out. But when you've been working on this line for quite some time, you start to know everything. Like every kink in the track is something you know, so you know at any time and where you are. Yeah, so you're able to anticipate when and where the speed restrictions are and how to plan out the trip all the way. Occupational hazard, I guess, when you start remembering things like that. Yeah, John, does this have something to do with some scripting to certain Transport Fever 2 signal system? Thank you so much for the super chat, Troy boy. Jonas Moen, I think someone made the Bergen map or Hordaland map, now Vestland map, for Transport Fever 2. But it would be really cool to get a full-size map that would be like 1-to-1 compared to the size of the train in the game for the Bergen line. That would be awesome. Hey Showboy, thank you for keeping me sane. Beatron, I think you should ask me any question and I can make some drawings for it, and yeah, we have a lot to discuss. See you later, Folkmaster. Arun, I remember the first day very well, and I was not afraid. Tunnels are not scary if you live in Norway, because we do have a lot of tunnels here. Jonas, just check out in the workshop and go to maps and just type in Bergen or Hordaland, and I think you will find something that is pretty good with really steep grades and everything. You have Ulriken there, Osterøy, etc. Yeah, you will find it there. Oh, Stephen Blanco, yes. Filling up on mana. Yes, I called it mana. Like magic to keep the magic flowing. So yes, mana. Happy Sunday to you too, Dogman. Yeah, John, I will definitely make a schematic that show you how things are connected and how things are lined up and how to do the right markings on them, and we can take it from there. Thank you so much for the super chat, Judith, and I'm so glad you liked the video. You're so welcome, David. Jonas Moon? Yeah, I have been quite amazed that Norway hasn't been featured in any of the train simulation games. And I'm not sure why that is something that's not been done. Might be because that been kind of restrictive on sharing information like that in the past, but things looks more open now, and I really hope they do bring something like that into a simulator game, because then I definitely would pull that game to shreds to make sure that it would be as realistic as possible. Thank you so much for your super chat, Julie Brady. And thank you so much for watching. Antigarage, you have to apply for the Railway Academy and more specifically the driver education, which lasts for a year, and then there you have to pass a certain amount of exams, of course, and then you have to apply for a job in a train company who will finish your training. Thank you so much for the super chat, 327 Chav. A rover would definitely be much more suitable here than an AMG. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Oder Stefansson. Caleb, yes, I am definitely familiar with that route, and those trains there, 9,000 tons, awesome, just plain and simply awesome. Tusen takk for superchatten, Jonas. Thank you so much for becoming a member, Julie Brady. Amy Cat 5, thank you. It has starting to snow now. The snow is slowly starting to stick, but typically we do have a colder kind of weather in the end of October compared to November. November is typically like really rainy and like sour, just above freezing point. But in the mountains, the snow should start to stick around this time and last all March and April. So I'm excited to go over the mountain in a couple of weeks. Caleb, yeah, they truly do, because they're really super long and really heavy. Julie Brady, yes. I am really so glad that these virtual trips are able to kind of make you and so many other that you are able to travel and that you get to see other sceneries than just a short trip from your porch to the living room or your trips to the grocery store. And yes, I really hope that everyone stays responsible, not only to protect yourself, but also to protect your family and other people from getting COVID. And yes, cover your face, cover your hands, wash your hands, make sure that you sanitize and wash your hands often. Don't do anything stupid and stay safe. And it's basically the safest thing to do. Gary Nesby, no, sorry, because that is in another company. But we never know what the future brings, so it might be that they decide to kind of merge the cargo department and passenger system back into one company. Who knows? I would not oppose that, because I would love to drive freight trains again. Did it during training, and it was really cool. It's a really different way to drive trains, and you get to use absolutely everything you learn. Gladys, it's really simple. I love cows. They are awesome. Ben44, yes, kind of. The name on Voss water is definitely named after Voss, but the company that produces the water is not from around here. But Voss is probably more known for the extreme sports. See you later, Robert. Olga Clark, the most bizarre sighting I've ever had at work must definitely be when alpaca, or yeah, I think it was an alpaca, or kind of like a Himalayan animal that actually crossed the track. I was like, what? No, it was a llama. It was actually a llama that crossed the track, and I was like, what? And yeah, it of course was a llama and alpaca farm just on the other side that I hadn't noticed before. So that is basically the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. Come, Brian. I have been driving trains for over 10 years. J-Dub, you love cows in Texas? Who could have imagined? Sir Percival, I would definitely love that train. And Canada, I've been there once before, but just Toronto, but I really want to visit Vancouver as well. Naomi Garza, yes, we all know what the scariest thing was. Okay, so now we are arriving Voss, and here we get the exit and platform, as you can see, to the left. And this will also be the place where we do a crew change, and where I back on September would be able to go back home to get some real legit sleep. So thank you everyone for joining tonight, and I hope to see you here again really soon. And Gazer, those sandbags along the track, those not sand, but those were for the clips and soles for the tracks, and they did swap them out during the past couple of months. And as soon as they've done everyone, they will go out and just pick up the bags again because they contain the old clips and soles. So thank you everyone, stay safe out there and protect yourself and your neighbors. And I'll see you again here soon. So thank you, bye.